What's up? Oh, there we are. Okay, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the SuperScope podcast, your wrap up in this week's biggest gaming stories, leaks, and rumors. We're back with episode 44, creeping up on 50.
Jesus Christ.
I know, on September 4th, the 4th, I am your host, Retro Game Dude. Of course, joining me as always is my co host, Daisuke Aurora of Phoenix Aurora Gaming. How the hell are you doing this week?
Good. It's me.
It's me.
Um, yeah, staying busy, just laughing at our buddy Dark. He landed today, and he's like, "Why is there humidity?" And I was like, "Oh, buddy."
Oh, yeah, they don't have humidity in Oregon. Holy shit. Welcome to the
I was
East
like, "You're not
Coast.
ready." Yeah.
Well, feel free to join us in the discussion live on Twitch or Discord, or if you're watching this on YouTube, tap and like that subscribe button. It helps us out can I swear yet? Helps us out a lot.
No.
And let us know what we missed, or feel free to join in the discussion in the YouTube comments as well. And if you want to find the audio version of this, you can see us on Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and Amazon. Their podcasts, whatever their platform is called. I think it's just Amazon Podcasts. All right, so we're back for another week of gaming news and catching up. A lot has happened this week. I don't know if we want to talk about some of it because, I mean, obviously we have a show written, but a lot of shit with Bungie's gone down a lot, and I try to stay away from like talking about that stuff on the show. But if you want to dig into it, you are absolutely more than welcome to. But let's talk about the state of the stream first. So,
Yeah, definitely.
So a little recap. We had a good week, and I took the week off because I was kind of acclimating to my new work schedule, which I'm glad I did because boy did that kick my ass. So
Right.
yeah. But yeah, we took Tuesday, Wednesday off, but we did have a Jackbox stream last night. That was obviously a blast, and it's always great to see community members returning and new people playing as well. So building the community, that's what we like, that's what we want to see. And of course, you can find us here every Sunday, 9 o'clock ish, doing the SuperScope podcast, and then you can find it live later in the evening, maybe early Monday morning, on YouTube, and it goes live on Spotify around the same time too. Okay, what are you playing this week?
I've mostly just been playing Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
Although I was going to mention to you if you want to take a look at it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed a demo for a game on Steam. I haven't tried it myself yet,
Yes.
but I thought you might think it was cool. Let me see. Where's my Steam wish list?
Is that Chain
Oh,
of
actually, nope.
Echoes?
No,
We talked
no.
about that last week.
We mentioned that one last week.
Sure.
No, this week, like I follow a lot of devs on Twitter, and sometimes like people talk about demos they have up or things that are coming soon, and I usually try to grab stuff that's either time demos or that just catch my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I grabbed a game here. Let me find it because unfortunately it's showing me things in alphabetical order, maybe. And the mobile version of this is really weird. It doesn't want to show me what I want to see.
Yo,
And
what?
it's not actually. I guess it's not alphabetical. I guess it's just whatever it wants to do because now it's going into a bunch of other games.
Downer has seen my background. We're just hanging out at the bar tonight, man. I don't know.
Oh no, I didn't get to see it. I don't have it up. Hang on. Let me see. What are we doing? What have you done?
Well, we're just chilling in the land of the lounge lizards right now. Oh man. All right. Well, what do we have here? I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, of course, this week. Messed around with the Steam Deck more, trying to, I don't want to say push it to its limits, but kind of do stuff to I don't know, kind of toe the line with it. So trying to dual Windows on it, which kind of is a pain in the ass because you can put Windows on it full time.
Mm-hmm.
But then getting Steam back on it by itself is kind of a trick. So I haven't done that yet because I really also don't want to go and dick around with like the Linux end of things because typically with that kind of stuff, you're getting into command line garbage, and I just don't feel like dealing with it. So
Right.
trying to dual boot Windows on it on a micro SD card, and I think the card that I have just wasn't fast enough trying to run or at least even install Final Fantasy 14 on Windows, and it just was not happening. So, and then I bought it on
Right.
Steam, and it doesn't work. You can't combine accounts with the Steam version plus or the PC version, so it's just a hell of a mess. So I had to request a refund for that. So I'm just at this time I'm gonna try and get a faster SD card so we can actually see if I can actually run some games on it. I'm told. I mean, I've seen people play Destiny off the SD cards, and I've seen people actually play Final Fantasy 14 off of it too. So I just
Pretty
want to
good.
mine in like downtime. Like if I can just so I don't have to be at my desk at all times playing the game just to do like menial stuff. So
Yeah, definitely.
so we're getting there one way or the other, but I'm anticipating SteamOS 3.0 because you'll be able to natively dual boot Windows and Steam and switch back and forth. So I'm hoping that comes sooner than later. No, but we'll see.
Right. I found that game I was looking for. If you want to look it up real quick, it's called Nomori. Nomori.
Let's take a look here.
And there's a demo on Steam now.
Let me take a look here. I can't play any audio, so I'm gonna quickly mute that. Huh. Let's see if I can pull it up on. Pull it up on stream here quick. Here we go. I mean, style. Oh, it's got some like Zelda elements to it. It looks like
Mm-hmm.
with like manipulating large objects and stuff. I like the style of it.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool. It's like a little indie game, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
expecting like anything crazy out of it.
Sure.
But it was free demo right now for the. I think it's called like the prologue on
Hmm.
Steam that you can grab. And I think the full game was like under $20.
Nice. I like it.
So it looks like something interesting to check out. But it's on my list of like I will probably check this out. I just haven't yet.
Right. Right. Um. What else do we have up here? You didn't really play much other than Final Fantasy 14.
Oh,
Or
it's been one of those. I did sign into
one of
Pokemon
those
Unite and
weeks.
looked at. I looked at because Pokemon Unite cycled into all their new things they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked to check all that stuff out, but I haven't actually done any of it yet. And that's mostly just because I usually play with Daimyo, and I haven't been staying up late,
Sure.
so I haven't been crossing paths with him. But they added a new map to it with a new center legendary that's not Zapdos. So the entire dynamic of playing with that Zapdos is gone, and I'm not sure what the new. I think the new one we talked about it's like a score shield and faster scoring,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the broken nonsense that is like stun the whole team plus unlimited scoring for like 15 whatever it is like 20 seconds.
Right.
So it might feel a lot better to play on that map. I haven't gotten a chance to test it yet though. So, but there's a Mew license now apparently. The
Nice.
event they're doing now gives you Mew, so that
Oh, that's
might be
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, definitely check that out if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you can find us, Game Dude Retro on Twitter. I actually top secret project, but I made a Twitter just for the SuperScope podcast. I haven't made it live or anything yet, but it's there. We'll
Oh,
talk.
nice.
We'll probably talk about it next week. Once I get everything set up with it. And then you can find me on Twitch and TikTok, of course, at Retro Game Dude. All one word. So let's dig into our sponsor. We're gonna keep things moving because we got a big show. So check out handheldlegend.com/retrogamedude or use retrogamedude at checkout for $10 off your first purchase. If you're into modding old portable consoles, like putting on backlit screens and like a Neo Geo Pocket Color, Game Boy Color, or a Game Boy Advance, they've got your back there. If you want some displays, new shells, amps for your speakers to make the systems louder, all that kind of stuff, it's all there. So make sure you go check out handheldlegend.com/retrogamedude and save $10 off your first purchase. I get a little taste of that, and I, of course, can reinvest that into this show and all the other streams and stuff, too. So appreciate you if you do. Thanks. All right, so we've got some subscriber games for September. We'll start with Game Pass. I couldn't find a graphic of the games coming to it, but I could find one for all the games leaving. But we'll start with the games
Of
that are
course.
coming first. That's what she said. And Grid Legends comes out September 1st, which is already out. Famous mobile game coming to Game Pass. Great. Disney Dreamlight Valley Early Access, September 6th. So Daisuke is already, yeah, fist pumping it. I love it.
I am not. I don't have Game Pass, and I'm not getting it for that.
Not worth it.
Oh boy.
That comes to
No.
console. Train Sim World 3, and another blockbuster title, September 6th, console, PC, and cloud. You Suck at Parking, September 14th on console. Outer Wilds comes back to Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, and that's console version September 15th. Beacon Pines, September 22nd, console and PC. Slime Rancher 2 Early Access, which is probably the only thing I'd be interested in on this list. September 22nd, console and PC. A Grounded 1.0 release, interesting, September 27th, console, PC, cloud. And Moonscars, September 27th, that's coming to console and PC.
You might actually like Moonscars. It's a Metroidvania, Castlevania looking thing.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Quick look at the games leaving. Craftopia, which I actually played a little bit of that with my daughter. That is a fantastic game if you are into like survival, like Minecrafty kind of games. I would definitely check that out before it leaves. Breathe Edge is leaving. Signs of the Sojourner. Surgeon Simulator 2 is leaving. Final Fantasy 13 is leaving, but don't fret because I hear Lightning Returns. Crown Trick, Nuclear Throne, and boy, I wish I could read that one, but I can't. So it doesn't look like it's all that important anyway. Oh man. He's still over Lightning Returns joke. Dude, I've been saving that one up all day. I'm like, I can't wait to hit him with it.
Oh boy.
All right, let's talk about what's coming to PlayStation Plus. I think today is the last day to get last month's and lock those down, so make sure you do that. I think I still need to do that too. But Need for Speed Heat is coming to all Essentials, and there was extras and premium, Tome, and Grand Blue Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. So that's all coming this month. And then for PS Plus extras, we've got Watch Dogs 2, Deathloop, Chicory, Monster Supercross 5, Dragon Ball 2 Xenoverse, Assassin's Creed Origins, or Assassin's Cred, if you spell like I do. And that is all coming to premium and extra tier. So look forward to that coming out. Yeah, that's a chock full. That's a lot of recognizable titles, I could say.
Yeah,
it's a nice
definitely.
contrast to Game Pass at this point. Boy.
Right.
So yeah, look into that. Go ahead.
I find it difficult to give them credit for like Outer Wilds coming back. Like, okay,
yeah, it's a cool game. Don't get me wrong, but it's like,
but it was you're putting it back on a service you took it off of. Like,
right.
Okay. But Moonscar, I did look at Moonscars. Moonscars looks interesting, but I'd probably just buy it outright if I was gonna like buy it. And Disney Dreamlight Valley, like, obviously I think it's gonna be cool because I have a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old who will want to mess with it.
Sure.
But that's sort of like an outlier more than anything. I don't know. Grounded. I mean, Grounded looked cool, but I wasn't ever sold on it all the way. That was like that game where it's like multiplayer survival game where like you're shrunk down in the yard. It looks like a cool game and everything. It just doesn't. It's not something that's gonna make me move to like. I need something to make me get Game Pass that I don't already have access to, and that would require probably multiple months of them putting out title after title that I want to spend money on. That this feels like a better buy, and I don't see that.
I mean, I'll revisit the idea of getting Game Pass again a year from now when they say they're going to have all these titles out, allegedly. But we'll talk about that later. That's for sure.
Even then, stacking that up against, if I was going to pay extra money for either service right now, the PlayStation service has Chicory, Deathloop, Dragon Ball 2 Xenoverse, all of which are games I'd want to play, and Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, both of which I never played those games and would probably be worth running through them. That's a lot more heavy hitting than an indie game that looks decent.
Grid
and
Legends, a mobile
Disney game or whatever. I mean, to be fair, You Suck at Parking is a game that exists, but and I'm sure it's fun, but I've never heard of it. So.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not selling me.
I think we saw that on a Nintendo Indie Direct, if I am not mistaken. But
Probably.
I am often mistaken, so don't invest what I say so much. All right, let's get into some quick headlines. So we've got some rumors leaking out Silent Hill 2 remake screenshots and some concept art all leaked today, actually. So take a look here. Now, it was said that these screenshots are not anywhere close to the final product, but it does give a kind of an idea of the game's tone. And then we have obviously some concept art here of Pyramid Head. So nice to see Pyramid Head coming back and rearing its head. Pyramid Head back to
Oh
consoles.
my God.
I'm getting you back for all the cheese puns last night. So
I was like, yeah, you can't let me be indignant over here when I put all those cheese jokes last night.
Exactly. Oh man, good for it. And then we have Success Corporation announcing their TGS lineup. Let's take a look here.
Who is Success Corporation?
I don't know. It seemed like a good idea to talk about it at the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, there's a lot of like, I try to keep tabs on which studios are putting what out and who I like and everything, but there's a lot of studios that I only put out 1 or 2 games or franchises that I've never heard of.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely here for Hamster Valley.
What is it?
Hamster Valley? Yeah, it's coming to iOS and Android, so it's going to be a heavy hitter. Touch Detective, that's coming to the Switch, and then they also have 2 unannounced titles, and then another title that probably going to be a Japan-only title because I can't pronounce it. So.
Hakuniwa Bokujo Hitsuji Mira.
Ah.
Can we talk about why one of the games is named Touch Detective Rena and the Fungi Case Files? I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude, we can talk about it.
Is that everything about that I have some kind of problem with.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Like...
Hamster Valley. Oh boy.
Oh.
I'm sure it's fine. It's just Hamster Valley really just feels like someone's like, I really like Stardew Valley, but what if it was hamsters?
I'll never know. Oh man. Let me fix some audio here quick. Okay. There we are. I think you're coming out of 2 channels because every time I open this software, I've got to check my audio channels because god damn it, fucking Streamlabs. What's that?
I'm being silenced.
Yeah,
I was too powerful, and now I'm being silenced.
Yeah. Touch Detective sounds lewd. Dude, it probably is. Like,
it's like fungi case or whatever, and I'm like, okay.
Oh,
2 unannounced titles too, though. Who knows what those could be?
They could be anything. Literally anything. All right. Well, back onto studios that people actually have heard of. That's not it. NIS, they're announced their showcase. That's coming September 7th, this week. That will start at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And they will be showcasing 7 new games, and I'm kind of excited for this because they do make some games that I've actually heard of. So I'll be here for it. I believe they are the creators of the Disgaea series. So if you're not familiar,
okay,
now you are.
And I was like, the name sounds familiar, but same problem. I don't think I've played them directly, so
that's fair.
And of course, their trailer is 25 seconds and doesn't mention anything. Thanks, NIS America. I guess we'll see what happens.
Sure. All right. So next up, we saw a tweet come out of Glenn Schofield of
out of his tweet hole,
director of the Callisto Protocol. So
I believe he was also Dead Space, wasn't he? Before that, Didn't they break away to? I think he was the creator behind Dead Space.
That makes sense.
They went on to make their own studio. What's his name? Glenn
Schofield.
Schofield. I think he's responsible for. I may be attributing the wrong credit, but I'm pretty sure he's attributed to Dead Space.
Absolute gem of a man here.
Oh boy, don't get me started.
Look at that. Oh yeah.
Let me just scan the wiki real quick. It looks like professional influences. I don't care. Head of as vice president of Crystal Dynamics, Schofield headed development on 2 franchises, Gex and Legacy of Kain. So he was the head of development for those 2, which we know those 2.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings video game series Russia with Love. His reputation grew with the title Dead Space in 2008. Created Sledgehammer Games, which they went on to do Call of Duty stuff, if I'm not mistaken. They're one of the 3 rotating Call of Duty studios now.
Hmm. Lovely.
And joined Crafton and started Striking Distance Studios. Callisto Protocol, yeah. So a bunch of random things here and there. A little bit of Call of Duties in the 2010 era to 2014-ish. Dead Space. Gex way back. Legacy of Kain way back.
Mm-hmm.
And now, more recently, obviously, Callisto Protocol as his first exclusively director title. He's always either been game director or co-director or general manager. This is his first solo directing. So yeah, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Downer mentioned that I was playing Dead Space. So the day Dead Space came out, I got it, and I was playing it like stupid late at night, and we had an earthquake while I was playing the game, and absolutely lost my shit.
Oh my God.
So that was fucking wild, because that's a game that was like designed to be like immersively scary, and
yeah, you're like, oh my God, they went all out.
Yeah, they really went all out. It was like, damn, I don't even have like a base system, but it's really like shaking my apartment. That's cool.
Oh my God.
So anyway, let's get back on track. Jason Schreier, famed internet game journalist, he posted this tweet of Glenn saying, "I only talk about the game during an event. We are working 6 to 7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're still working. Bugs, glitches, perf fixes, one last pass through audio, 12 to 15 hour work days. This is gaming, hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it." Glenn, I've got news for you. No one's making you do anything. But no, people don't do this because they love it. Work 12, 15 hours a week and then eat dinners and lunches and breakfasts at work.
Yeah, or with their families or whatever.
Right. And then
Like,
Jason Schreier clapped back. It's like, this from a head of a studio is crunch culture defined. Of course, nobody is forced to work insane hours, but imagine the reduced bonuses. Oops. Imagine the reduced bonuses and lack of promotion opportunities if you don't. You do it because you love it. Weaponized passion. This is why people burn out of gaming.
Absolutely.
And then he followed up with such a weird coincidence how the guy bragging about how his team works 6 to 7 days a week for 12, 15 hours a day because they love it also happens to be the guy in control of their salaries, titles, and current employment status. Yep. So, yeah, and that's
really shitty.
And honestly, this crunch kind of shit transcends gaming. I mean, this is everywhere in America. I lived through it with a job, and I will never go back to that lifestyle ever again. I just absolutely will not.
Right. Yeah, it's garbage, and we see like, and you know, it's funny because I dug through those threads, and I like to see what people react and what people say about it, and you had some really weird people defending him by saying
one guy we talked about. Please, let's talk about this.
Oh yeah, well, there was another guy that it was funny because the way he phrased it, he was like, oh, clearly like Glenn was only talking about the higher ups. He wasn't talking about regular people working. He was talking about him and the executives and the higher ups. And it was like, you think the higher ups are doing bug fixes, glitches, passing through audios, doing performance checks, staying 16 hours in the office on the management side? No. This is the programmers. This is the sound team, the audio team. This is the graphics team. The management is not spending 16 hours in the office.
No, they are out of there by Friday by 3:30 if they even come in on a Friday. I've seen it at every job I've ever worked at, man. That's just the culture. Yeah. It's like, don't blow smoke up our ass and pretend like this is not the way this is.
And that's what kills me the most is this guy's like, yeah, you know, we're doing 12 to 14 hours. And it's like, I guarantee you are not doing 12 to 14 hours specifically. You are doing trade shows. You're doing meet and greets. You're doing lunches and dinners with people that matter, finances, stockholders, stakeholders, like shares people. We get it. But you are not spending 15, 16 hours at a desk crunching. You don't do that in your position.
Facts.
You make everyone else on the team below you do it. So to see people defend him by saying he was only talking about himself and maybe like the upper management, it was like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
You are like 17 and you haven't gotten out of high school yet.
Have you ever had a job?
You have not worked anywhere if you think that's how that works.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why they say what they say about capitalist labor is that it comes from the bottom. The people at the bottom work the most hours. They work the hardest. We see Amazon people. We see manufacturing people. We see programmers. We see artists, we see almost anything that generates income, with the exception of like weird like investment speculative market bullshit where you just get lucky and then get out at the right time, or like stuff like that, or like like slum lording as a landlord, just owning a bunch of property, or being given a company from your dad or some shit.
Right.
Like, short of that, any person who works pretty much any job at the bottom of the totem pole probably works the hardest. They may not have the most complicated job because they may not have to know like how to run business on ordering products, or how to do inventory, or how to do trucks, or how to do any of that shit.
And you know
But they
what? At the end of the
definitely put
day,
in the
that's
legwork.
more and more
Like,
becoming expected of them too.
right? Well, yeah. Unless, oh, dude, and that goes back to the whole thing with Elizabeth we can talk about too, which is a whole other thing.
Hmm.
But because that was literally what happened to her, was she was literally doing stuff above her pay grade, and then said, "This is what I do, and it's above my pay grade," and then got in trouble for it. Fucking
Right.
stupid. But I digress.
So
We
he
see
walked this back, didn't he?
he deleted the tweet, which is why Schreier has a screenshot of the tweet, not the quote tweet. I mean, I
Sure.
guess he may not have wanted the quote tweet anyway to not give it like the attention, but I don't think he really cares because he was like shitting on it. So like giving it the attention to his audience while being mean to it or saying it's bad would just lead people to go comment on it being bad. So it's not like it would have mattered. But no, he screenshotted it, and it was deleted.
Sure.
And Glenn did tweet later in the day, not even like a full retraction or walk back. He just was like,
Just trying
maybe
to
some people took
redress
it the
it.
wrong way,
Right.
but I was just saying that I love working these hours and working hard like this. And it was like, you're basically saying, I'm sorry you were offended, which isn't an
Right.
apology.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
not.
Exactly.
It's like the I'm sorry you didn't like what I said.
Hmm.
And yeah, there was some wild ass people in the comments trying to defend him by being like, oh, "This is what it is. You want to work hard, you got to work hard." One dude, crazy Xbox fan, was like, "Oh well, people say Xbox doesn't have games. This is the price we have to pay if we want games. We
Nope.
have to burn people out." And it was like,
Nope.
"No, we do not have to toss people into the metaphorical volcano so that we can get Halo Infinite a year early or fucking whatever."
Right.
Because that worked out so well.
It sure did,
Like,
and we're going to talk about that tonight.
or like
It's
Cyberpunk. We saw, and he says like, "Oh, no one was forcing these people to do anything," and it's like, bro, that's what people say. But then we find out even people like Cyberpunk or Project CD Project Red, where they're like, no one was forced to work overtime or come be social with us or do any of this extra shit. However, we did have bonus tokens that we gave to people based on the manager's approval and who they
and you
wanted to give
had
them
to be
to.
at these
So what
functions
do you
to
think
get them.
happens? Right. How do you think you get those from your manager? You think that like coming in at 9 o'clock and working 9 to 5, and then being like, "It's 5 o'clock, boss. I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow," and not going to the bar to hang out with them, not staying late to hang out with them, not socializing, not doing extra work and trying to suck up a little bit. You know that people are going to be doing that, and it's the only reason that you're going to compete for those tokens from that manager. It's all bullshit. It's the same shit we see at every job where like manager has the power to play favorites, and they will, and the only options you have are to overthrow that whole system, which you can't really do from the bottom, or some people are going to play along with that system, and that's what it is.
Sure.
And I guarantee this is one more studio where we'll have a Schreier actual write-up in 2 years after this game launches about the crunch of the studio and how bad it was and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm sick of these studios. They pop up overnight, and it's 10 white dudes and a dog, and they'll joke and be like, "The dog's a girl, haha,
Right.
diversity." And you're like, "Oh fuck you guys!" And then they'll make like a game they've already made before, like this game. No offense, looks cool, but not for me. But like, they're playing it safe as far as I can tell. This dude's doing a thing that he's done a bunch of times already, which whatever, more power to him. But like,
Hmm.
and then yeah, the game will come out, and we'll be like, "Why did you guys crunch the hell out of this game?" And they're like, "Well, because the Dead Space remake was a month later, and we didn't want to come out after it because then we lose that race, so we
Right.
crunched everyone." And then yeah, we'll find out, 3 devs, in the next 6 months will quit that studio or get laid off from that studio, and they'll all talk about how they burned out. One of them will go to software dev, one of them will go to art instead, one of them will just become like a fucking construction worker and be like, "I used to do game dev." You know how many times I see on these kinds of replies like to this guy? People who say, "I used to do game dev and I burned out of it. I spent 10 years in the 90s or 10 years in the 2000s game dev, and it ruined my fucking life because I was stressed and like I got sick. I went to hospitals. I was dehydrated. I wasn't eating right. Like I never saw my family. My wife left me, or my kids got like disconnected from me, and I barely even know my kids now. And now they're out of the house, and I'm home, burned out from game dev." It's so shitty, dude. You see this stuff all the time, and it's these studios that do it.
Sure. Absolutely.
And these people like this guy, it's frustrating.
And I'm glad to see, was it Matt Piscatella? He clapped back too, and he's an executive director with
Yeah.
NPD and formerly with Warner Brothers. What he's had to say, crunch isn't something to be proud of. If not planned, it represents a failure somewhere in the pipeline. Absolutely.
Hmm.
If planned, it represents cruelty. In any case, it ain't good. So
Right.
yeah, good
Absolutely.
on you, Matt, with 1T. Appreciate that comment.
Yeah, I
So
saw. I made a few new follows this week watching the discourse because I was
sure,
basically looking to see who had a good opinion about it, and
right.
I found people in leadership positions with good takes on it, and I was like, okay,
It's good
I
to see
support
it because
those
it's
people.
very rare, especially the way the state of this country at this time. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
move on. We gotta keep rolling here.
Yeah.
So we got an announcement that Konami is going to announce a new game from a series loved around the world. I don't know what it is, of course. Obviously, everyone's talking about it probably being like a Metal Gear Solid game. But again, we don't know. And in the state that Konami's in, where they can only do, um, you know, compilations of old games, it's worrisome, but we'll see. A couple was it last year we saw them hire a bunch of indie studios to basically do a lot of their game ports of like older games and stuff, and we're obviously seeing those come out. But it's are
Right.
they capable of doing a new game of an old IP? I don't know.
It's going to be a pachinko machine.
Oh God, yes,
It's just going to be like
Castlevania Pachinko coming to
it's
2023.
it's going to be like like mid '90s, early 2000s, like Windows pinball, like
Oh man,
but brought for the future generation or something.
down in the chat. Oh, or a Pachinko game for them to Switch, of course. It's
Yeah.
you have to get a special controller so you can hold it sideways so you get like a vertical shot of the game.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see at TGS. So you know how I feel about it,
That's
but
Friday, right? This Friday
is TGS this
or this
Friday?
weekend? I think
Disney's is. Disney's is
Disney's
the
event is this
ninth.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
Um,
assume it does one of those like, is this one of those weird events where like the event is technically in like the early middle week for us, or am I thinking of something else?
Disney is on the ninth, which I think that's Friday, I believe. Yes.
Like somewhere in the middle of it or something? Okay. I know that there's one thing every year, and I can't remember what showcase it is, but there's a showcase for like games where like it starts on like a Monday
Hmm.
for some reason, and it runs like Monday through Wednesday, and a lot of the bigger companies get ahead of it by doing like Sunday shows,
Uh-huh.
but like it's weird because yeah, it's like
The TGS
I don't remember
starts
what it was.
Thursday the 15th, and then it goes until Sunday the 18th.
Thursday the
Um,
15th. What the hell's Disney doing then? Just jumping the gun?
they have their own thing, so
Oh, it's their own thing. Okay,
yeah. It's
I assumed they were TGS.
no,
Oh.
they have their own thing. We did a podcast on this. Why
They're
don't you
gonna
know this?
I just assumed it was TGS. I don't know. Um I'm just waiting for them to they're gonna like roll out like it's gonna be like welcome to the Disney Showcase, and they're gonna have like two dudes in suits, and it's gonna do like the like blue and silver instead of red and silver, and the guy's gonna be like, come check out like our new Disney games on this trailer. Like, oh man.
I'm expecting out of all these conferences and game showcases that I think the Disney one's probably going to be one of the bigger ones. So,
Well, they have because they technically have some wild things under their brand, right? Because they've got EA and Respawn doing Star Wars games, like a Star Wars
they
first-person
have like
shooter.
7 or so game Star Wars games alone in development.
Yep.
Zynga's doing one that will probably be dog shit, but
Probably yeah. But then, like on top of that, they have the Marvel Studios. They could show X-Men's Wolverine game,
mhm,
or they could show Midnight Suns more gameplay
they said
because
they
those are
were.
both Marvel.
We did a podcast
Um,
on this.
no, I know. I'm just wondering now, like what I don't know. I guess it just it every time we talk about Disney in gaming, I always think like shitty mobile games or like the like this like what's that game? Disney
The
uh
Infinity Verse or whatever the hell it's called.
the Dreamlight Valley,
Uh
yeah.
huh.
Like I always think of that stuff, but then I'm like, oh, that's right. They have Kingdom Hearts and like basically all of Star Wars and all of Marvel. So they actually have a decent catalog of games now.
Right.
That's so weird.
Yeah, they have a massive catalog. So, just Marvel alone, and they were speculating that It could be like a Midnight Sun. Well, they said there was going to be some Midnight Sun stuff there because
Hmm.
we talked about it last week, saying, "Oh, good, it's not in development hell." Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it could be any. It could be a myriad of games. They said they're going to do a new on Marvel ensemble games, and we don't know what it is going to be. It could be Fantastic Four. It could be that all woman superhero team that we were talking about last week or the week before.
Oh, like, is it A Force?
A Force, I
Something?
think. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yep, yep,
there's a
yep.
lot that they could potentially talk about. But
Well, to mention, we haven't seen the Wolverine game since announced, right? Wolverine got announced, and then
mhm.
we didn't see anything
Black
yet.
Panther's heavily rumored. So yeah,
Pretty cool.
like I said, I mean that show alone could be could probably make up for like the lack of what E3 was,
Right.
or at least in its absence. And we had the Summer Games Fest, which again,
Yeah.
so, um, what else do we have here? NetEase has acquired Detroit Become Human maker Quantic Dream. So starting to see the creep of Chinese companies buy up gaming companies now in entirety.
Yeah.
So be interested to see what happens there. I'm always anxious to see these companies scoop stuff up. And like Tencent, we didn't talk about that because Tencent and Sony, they are collectively acquiring 30 some odd percent of FromSoftware. So you see Tencent, see NetEase. I think NetEase or Tencent also has some skin in investing in Destiny. I don't know if they still do
Tencent
because
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
but when they left Microsoft, or I'm sorry,
Yep.
Activision, um,
Tencent helped them. Yeah.
10% helped them, right?
Yeah.
So
And I
yeah,
think one of
it's
those. No, maybe not. I was like, who's Genshin Impact? Isn't Genshin Impact backed by one of these, or is it not one of these and it's something else?
I don't think they are involved with it. That's
Yeah,
Mia. I can't pronounce it.
Miyoho. That's
Yes,
right.
yes,
Okay. No,
yes.
that's right. It is their own thing. Yeah.
But
They're one of the only ones that kept themselves like pretty independent about that. Yeah.
sure. But yeah, so I
Hmm.
mean, it's kind of time will tell with this. We'll see what they're interested in doing with this. I'm really not sure. Obviously, Quantic
Yeah.
Dream, known for their heavy narrative-driven games,
Right.
and China wants in. China wants in on the video game market, so much so that the government had to regulate how much people can actually play. So,
Yeah, and we
um,
could. It would be separate from this podcast. We can have a discussion later. Maybe
mhm.
there's. I don't know if you saw something like China announced some of their economic policies going forward, and they're planning to try and become like the center of the economic world in the next 10 years.
Oh, sure,
Like
they're
they have a new Belt and Road initiative and everything to try and drive trade through
mhm.
China.
Well, yeah, they're
In like the
leading into
digital
this
age.
new cap what is it, government sponsored capitalism, as I call it. So
Yeah, yeah,
they're leaning real hard into it. So yeah, they definitely want to be part of this capitalist market. Yay! So
right.
but yeah, let's keep moving on. Mafia 4 was announced by Hangar 13. And I guess to celebrate that, if you go on Steam right now, the first Mafia is free. I would definitely recommend playing it. I didn't play the first one, but I'm definitely going to check it out. I played the shit out of the second one. It's very good. If you're into maybe like a Grand Theft Auto style game, but more of like maybe like a Goodfellas kind of theme, I would definitely check it out.
Yeah,
I'd say it's more serious tone than what a Grand Theft Auto is, but highly recommend them.
right.
They're definitely really good, and they do have the trilogy on sale on Steam as well to kind of celebrate the announcement of the fourth one. So I'm excited for that, and I'll definitely be picking that up too. And we have some Cyberpunk news. CDPR is announcing a Night City Wire broadcast. So basically, expect to see some DLC announcements for Cyberpunk. Obviously, I don't know. Every time I see something on Twitter about it, they're just like people just clap back at them too hard. But September 6th, which is 2 days from now, 5 p.m. Eastern time. What the hell is CEST?
I think that's not us and not California. It's one of the two in the middle. Not Mountain Time, but the other one's Central.
Is that Central? I thought that would be
I think
CST.
it's.
Maybe not.
Oh, is it?
So
No,
that's
I
a
don't
weird.
know.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Oh God, maybe it's like IKEA time.
Right. Uh, there's something new on the horizon. A special episode of Night City Wire. We'll be talking about upcoming anime, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, and what's next for Cyberpunk 2077. So I guess they'll kind of lean into more of the show that they're talking about, which looks
Mm-hmm.
good. Don't get me fucking
The show
wrong.
looks cool.
Real
Oh, and
cool.
the studio is a good studio, right? Isn't it? It's like, is it Studio Trigger? Maybe
That's
it's
a
a
great
good
question.
studio.
They're the same people that did the Castlevania.
I think so. They were the
Okay.
same people who did. They're the same people who did that movie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Trigger. They were the ones who did. Um, they did a couple of They did a Star Wars episode or two in that Star Wars like animatrix style thing, where it's a bunch of different episodes all
Mm-hmm.
loosely related. And then they did Promare, the movie, which is a good one. And I think Trigger was also the guys. They've done other anime before. I want to say Trigun, but I don't think so. They've done other stuff though. They're good. They're a solid team. So if they're
Sure.
making it, it'll be good.
Well, that's cool. Let me see here. Whoops. Did we get? We didn't get any direct or anything yet, but we do have some Nintendo stuff to talk about. That's for sure. Um, Lots of rumors because we are approaching what is probably a new direct season coming up. Uh, so there's a lot of rumors. Obviously, they're talking about multiple GameCube remasters coming out on the Switch.
Oh
Um,
wow.
with Zelda's anniversary just being last week, I think we're going to see a direct sooner than later. But of course, they will announce this thing like 48 hours. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it sometime this week or next week. But they're allegedly heavily rumored, if not almost confirmed, that we're going to get a dual pack of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess for the Switch. So I'll be interested to see, obviously, if that comes out. They're talking about other GameCube remasters, though. So I'm like thinking about like what else there could be, because there's like, as far as like GameCube stuff that's not already, it's already been remastered, there's not much left. I don't see them remastering like a Kirby game, because we just got a couple Kirby games. We just got another Kirby game announced. More of like not a main series title. So what's left? Metroid
You
Prime and like
know,
F-Zero.
I have a conspiracy.
Oh, I like conspiracies.
Okay, hear me out. Um, Sora Limited finished Smash,
Mm-hmm.
and Sakurai went over to like work on I think on that Kirby game that came out after. What was that new Kirby game on the Switch? It's like $30.
Mm-hmm. I know what
Um,
you're talking about. Like
and
that
now he's
spin-off
doing the
part.
YouTube channel, which by the way, very cool. If you haven't checked it out, he has a YouTube channel now. Uh,
I did subscribe to it, but I
uh,
have not watched anything yet. But I hear it's really good.
oh, I haven't gotten a chance to watch any of it yet, but it's all game dev stuff. He's gonna talk about game stuff, so it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What if so? What if they remaster Melee? You don't need Sakurai for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it without him, and it lets them still generate money on the Smash Brothers franchise without having to like develop more Smash Brothers, which obviously they're not going to at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But a Melee remake still sells for $50 easy, and people still buy it, especially with a little bit of
Right.
quality of life tweak to it. And Switch support online, which means no more like dragging GameCubes around unless you really want to play that version. Like, it feels like it would be like a win-win for everybody if they put it on the Switch and remastered it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine it would be that difficult, given that the game handles pretty well and it holds up pretty well in modern day too. I don't think there's a lot you need to do to it,
Sure.
netcode and stuff, I guess. But I just wonder, like, they could pull that off even with Sakurai off on his own thing now,
Sure.
right? They wouldn't even need him for it.
I can see that.
And that's it's an easy holiday cash in, right?
Right.
Hmm.
I'm thinking F-Zero is going to be on the table. We did see it was that last investors meeting.
Mm-hmm.
One guy bought like $40,000 worth of stock so that he could ask the question at the investors meeting about, when are we going to see another F-Zero? And they were kind of coy to answer it, and it wasn't exactly a direct answer, and it was like you'd be surprised what we have in the works kind of situation. So I think, and here's
Oh
why,
man.
I think we're going to get an F-Zero. F-Zero on the GameCube was the only Nintendo published, it might be the only game published on the GameCube that was 1080p capable out of the box and
Oh
60 frames
yeah.
per second. So
Right.
they don't have much to do to remaster this. Maybe clean up some shaders, maybe clean up some textures. But if it was capable of doing 1080p 60 frames per second out of the box on the GameCube, performance, it's really not going to have much as far as performance. See, Cleric said Mario Kart Double Dash. I don't think we're going to see that, just because they're dumping so much resources into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still, and they might. I think they're developing a 9, which has been
Oh my
semi-announced, I
god.
believe.
I'm sorry. The way that she said "finally Mario Kart Double Dash" made me think of like
Oh, she said
that
finally
scientist
earlier
in
to
the
something
lab
else.
meme, you know, where he's got like the
Yeah.
thing and he's like, finally, he's like Mario Kart Triple Dash. Oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know. But I would really be hopeful for that Zelda double pack. Because we got the
Yeah,
Wind Waker
that'd be
on the
very
Wii
cool.
U, but no one bought it because no one bought the fucking Wii U. So they put an
Yeah.
awful lot of work into that. And honestly, at the end of the day, how many other games have they ported from the Wii U over to the Switch just because they wanted to recoup some of the money back that they never made in the
Oh,
first
yeah.
place? So that's a no brainer,
Yeah,
I
a
think.
million.
Um,
And
I,
not to mention, like Wind Waker is considered one of the better games over time. Like a lot of people at first were like, "Oh, graphics," but then a lot of people like the Wind Waker game after the fact.
right. As Claire
So
said,
it'd be a good move.
I bought Zelda on the Wii U. I did too. So
Dude,
we are.
I had the console. I was working at GameStop at the time, so it
Mhm.
was easy for me to snag that black 32 gig Wii U that had it. And I am sad to say I didn't play the game even though I owned it.
Oh my god,
I just never played it. I don't know why.
I'm angry
So
at you.
yep, I will have to buy it again and
Yeah.
play it again.
So I think we'll see F-Zero. I think we'll see the Zeldas. I'm not really sure because we already got Mario Sunshine on the 3D All Stars. So I'm trying to think of like what core games are left. There wasn't a Star Fox game on the GameCube that I can think of that or not Star Fox, um, Kid Icarus. So that's off the table.
Yeah.
Um, we could get a Star Fox. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, there was like that. There was that Star Fox Adventure game, right? Where you
Hmm.
played on, you ran around the ground.
Right. It was like Star Fox Zelda. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but and then we also have, I would say, claims, but this is coming from Jeff Grubb, so they are. He's saying that we are going to get an official name for the Breath of the Wild sequel during this direct too. So um,
Okay.
I'd say Jeff Grubb he's been around for a hot ass minute, and I would say that he is I would say a reliable source. Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin. See, I thought about Pikmin too, but I don't know if they would remaster. Maybe they would do like a pack. Luigi's Mansion
I
started
don't.
on the DS. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Pikmin needs another. Pikmin still currently has Pikmin. Pikmin, whatever the phone game's called. Pikmin, Pokemon
Right.
Go, Pikmin.
I'd like to see like maybe
And
like a brand new Pikmin. That would be
who gets any
nice.
better than? What do you need? What do you need more than a Pikmin Pokemon game on your phone?
Right.
Pikmin Bloom is the name. Yes. Killing it right now, I'm sure.
Sure. All
Luigi's
right.
Mansion. Yeah. What else is different GameCube titles, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like
So
Nintendo
weird because
published
I love the GameCube, but there definitely was only so much there. Was there even a Donkey Kong in GameCube?
maybe Chibi Robo. Maybe we're gonna get a Chibi Robo port.
Maybe.
Um.
He did get like that 3DS game,
Yeah,
and
but
then didn't they
they
give him
were
some love
dog
on the
shit,
Switch or
dude.
something?
What's up?
No, I thought didn't they do?
Your audio shut out. Uh oh. His audio took a shit. Can you hear me? Uh oh. Oh no, audio. Uh oh. Uh oh. We've got technical difficulties. Uh oh. Are you there? It wouldn't be a podcast without this stupid shit. You might have to quit out of Discord or something. God damn it. Let me drop and reopen Discord. Yeah. So, how's everyone doing? Let's talk about Sony sending out damaged copies of a collector's edition of The Last of Us Collector's Edition here. Let me see here. got our graphic here. So we have, it says, let's try this again. This is how my $100 collector's edition was delivered from PlayStation. Doesn't look great. So they stuffed it in an envelope here. It didn't fit in the envelope, and that's just how it was just like a dollar envelope. They just stuffed it in. We saw here another person here that had the same problem. Are you back, sir? I love it!
What happened?
Oh, there you are.
What did I miss?
We're talking about Sony sending out bitched up boxes of the collector's edition.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
Let's see if we can get you back in.
and it wasn't like one person, right? It was like multiple threads of people being like, all of them arrived like this.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay.
Let me put my camera on top. There we go.
Why can't I pop it out? Oh my god. Shut up. Oh man. All right. This is a fucking train wreck. Hey, there he is. Okay. Okay, let's take another look at it here. So we have, take a look here. Also, this as well. They stuffed it in a box, crushed it to get it into the box. And I'm so upset right now. I paid $107.99 for Last of Us Part 1, Firefly Edition, and it came damaged. I can't even get a replacement. I can only get a refund, though I really wanted it. So this is not the first time I've seen this, where they tried to refund. So this has happened multiple times where they try to get a refund for this damaged box. And so PlayStation's like, no, you can turn it in for like a refund, but that's all we can do for you. So that's really shitty.
You know what that makes it sound like to me? It makes it sound like they made them to order, and they don't want to have to make more or order more.
Exactly. That's 100%
Which
what
is
it is.
it's their fault, not anyone else's fault.
Right.
You should keep 10% stock back for replacements. Like that's a rule. That's like a standard rule in the industry, isn't it? Like you keep 10% of your stock for replacements, like
right.
minimum, depending on failure rates and shit.
Yep.
I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard to do that, right?
Yeah. So it's like they can't go back to the manufacturer now because like the assembly line for this is gone, and obviously
right,
like,
yeah.
the logistics of it, they were just taking brown envelopes and chucking them in the fucking mail. Ones that didn't
the
fit, like they
pipeline's
didn't even
gone.
fit in the envelopes. They had the adhesive and stuff torn and on the goddamn boxes themselves. The boxes are bent and crushed. It's like, come on, these are collector's editions. So it's like you can't just be like, oh, tough shit, it's just a box. It's like they bought it for the box. I don't necessarily always ascribe to this, but this is why they bought it. So
Right, exactly.
they're shit out of luck. And they're just like, Sony's like, well, you can refund, you can get a refund. That's it.
Yeah, and the killer with this for me too is like I bet a lot of people thought they weren't getting like a lot of people who got into Last of Us after this thing in the first place were excited to go back and get like this thing from Last of Us, and so for a lot of people, a second chance to get something they missed,
right?
And now it's ruined again, or they had their hopes dashed a second time, and now they're being told, well, it sucks for you, I guess. Shitty.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, hopefully, I mean, I haven't seen any recourse from Sony at all, changing like the soap, saying, "Hey, we're sorry, we're going to make this right." I think, unfortunately, these people are just kind of shit out of luck. I have not seen an official response out of Sony whatsoever on this. So, kind of a shame. It's kind of a fucking shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the big story of the week. Boy, so Halo Infinite is going through one right now, and they have been for a hot minute. So let's check in on the development, because surely everything's going great. So let's take a look here. We just got an announcement this week. Split screen co-op is canceled on the couch. Couch co-op gone. Gone. Online co-op will be delayed until November. Forge is delayed again until November. And the current season, Lone Wolves, that is going to be extended for a total of 10 months. So almost a whole year for one season. I guess the first season was, what, 2-3 months? three months. I guess that was probably the original plan going forward. But again, they released the game a year early, not unfinished, and they were like, okay, now what? And it's like, wait, we didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan. They had a working cash shop, which that worked beautifully out of the box.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's just, again, I mean, I don't know how many times we can talk about this on the show, and it's
right.
Here we are again talking about this, and we said from the get-go, I said, way back before this game even released, that this was going to be Red Flag City. So I have a clip here we can definitely play if I can get it all figured out. Look at this. Okay, let's play this. This is from DICE 2017.
A lot of learnings along the way. When we fell down with the multiplayer launch of MCC, or when we didn't put split screen in with Halo 5, I think it's incredibly painful for the community and for us. I think it erodes trust with the community, as the community is part of our world building. A lot of learnings from that. And I would say for any FPS going out forward, we will always have split screen in going forward, but painful learnings. We've also had
painful learnings. So couch co-op going forward. Yeah, they sure learned one. So the interesting thing about this, let's bring this up real quick. So Halo Creation Twitter account. Zoom in on this. So after checking on Series X, the menu glitches to play Halo Infinite campaign split screen still works. No crash or cutscenes, no issue with AIs, etc. Never thought I would have to go through this to play with my friends at home. I'll probably release a small tutorial later. So they did a menu glitch to get couch co-op working. So my question here is probably going to be an obvious question. Why can't they finish this? It's already inherent in the game. Like, what part of this company is so mismanaged that they can't even do, like, just get the basics off the ground after a year after launch? And this was Player's Choice Game of the Year. By all means, let's do that again. Let's give them another fucking Game of the Year again.
What was the thing we were reading about? Like Halo 5 was considered bad overall, and yet the roadmap for Halo 5 still contained a lot of content along the way that, like, Halo Infinite just isn't seeing. Like, and there was that guy again. There was one guy, like, defending Halo and being like, "Oh, are we really going to argue about Halo Infinite? The game was great at launch," and people were like, "It was missing Slayer, Big Team Battle. It was missing Infections. It's still missing Infection. It was missing." Yeah, you have, like, the graphic like this. Like, it was missing so much content that got added in the first second. Like, look at month 2 of Halo Infinite added Slayer, FFA, Free for All, SWAT, Fiesta. Like, month 6 added King of the Hill. Month 6
and this
added King of the Hill.
Halo 5 looks more like they're slow dripping features because they don't want to over-indate players. Whereas Halo Infinite, it's dropped, like. They're missing content that they're adding back in that's non-functional. They still haven't fixed the server lag issues and, like, this melee syncing. It's a mess. You look at month 2, Forge added because they probably just wanted players to play the game first.
Absolutely.
File browser added 30 new RQs with 48 in the first month. 11 new weapon variants, 4 new maps, commendations added. We got 4 maps this entire. This entire year with Halo Infinite. It's ridiculous at this point.
Dude, look at Halo Infinite month 3. Cyber event temporary, attrition added temporary.
Yeah.
So what even 2 things got added to the game and they're both temporary? Like, what even?
And that Tenrai event looped like 3 or 4 times through that first season because they didn't have anything else to do. And everyone's like, we're fucking sick of doing this Tenrai event. So
it's okay. Hey, they're turning the corner, and they've added getting match XP as a award for playing matches. A beta feature, by the way. It's not done, but there's a beta for you to get experience at the end of a match. It's groundbreaking, I know.
Right.
But here we are.
Yeah.
going as fast as they can. That's just stupid.
But people defended it out of the gate. And there was
dude, it's yeah.
I wish
It's
people...
the same rant I always do on the podcast where I'm like, how were you guys I do it with other teams and other products all the time, but 343 especially. You guys were handed like a pinnacle title and franchise. Going like on their way out the door, Bungie set you guys up so good with Reach. It was a fantastic game. What happened?
The work was done. The assets, the lore, it's all laid out. They didn't have to create it from scratch.
Halo 4 was like, all right, maybe you guys are finding your footing and you're new to this and you're getting your ground and you know, I get it. It was an attempt. Like, okay. And then Halo 5 was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, it can't get worse than Halo 5. Whatever they make next has got to be better. And then they were like, Halo Infinite. I'm like, okay, it looks better. And then we showed it to us and it didn't look better. And we were like, hey, it doesn't look better. And they were like, okay, we'll make it look better. And then we didn't see it like again for like a year or whatever. And then they were like, oh, by the way, it's basically out.
Right.
Here comes the beta. And it was like, what's the beta? And they were like, we're just opening up the multiplayer half of the game. And that's it. And people were like, what? So it's half of a Halo game? And they're like, yeah, but don't worry. We'll still charge you $60 for the other half a game.
Right.
And it was like, oh, God, here we go. And the half that came out was a beta, and the half that came out was all kinds of problems. I mean, we had people like me and you and Dark and Claire all playing it and being like, it's unplayable. It's garbage. And especially like if you're like a competent player or a competitive player, like you just couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane.
I never even played it. I downloaded it.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah.
I couldn't get past the main menu. I got there and I was like, I haven't played this game in 6 years. I can't get back into this. And I'm glad I didn't because I hear like the PC version is a total nightmare. I just it's so depressing because this game was. I hate to hate on this game, but I mean, that's where we are. Like it's trash.
This one guy tweets. He's like, Halo Infinite Forge was delayed, but Forge is fully functional, and Forge creations are playable in the retail build. There's no infection mode, but Forge players made an infection mode. There's no co-op split screen because it's been shelved, but it's playable in the game. I'm confused about what's happening. Like they don't even know what they're doing over there. Like they have features built into the game that aren't available but are there. But like, what does the management look like over there? If you're like, what is your scope and your plan? If you have features going half in and then not being enabled, and then other features that aren't there, but the players can recreate them in the game because enough of the components are there for it to be done, which means that actually doing it on your end as the developers should be like a day, right? If a Forge person can make infection in a day, then the development side should be able to do that in significantly less time if it's all it takes, right?
It seems like the threshold is just some simple UI UX stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely off the wall.
The couch co-op is there. It's in the game. If you hack into it, come on! What's happening here?
It is an unbelievable display, that's for sure.
And I'm seeing these apologists now. They're like, we're starting to think that. I'm starting to think that this team's mismanaged. It's like I've been saying that since before this fucking game dropped, and it's like y'all wanted to fight me on the internet about it, but here we are. Exactly what I fucking said was going to happen.
Oh man, I see people in that guy's comments are like, you are confused. You don't have all the information here. And the guy's like, well then how come like some of these features are in the game? And he's like, well maybe they're not ready. And he's like, well then how come we're getting ready? Like how come things that are clearly not working correctly are implemented? Like what do you do? Oh my god, the Halo roadmap. Yeah, I saw that.
That's beautiful.
The Whisk the Jack Daniels.
Even Paul Tassi. What? Wait, I'm sorry. They just straight up not doing Halo Infinite campaign co-op now after saying it was coming after a year and a half.
And that's on top of like you showed the footage of them at DICE being like, we understand this is a thing that matters to you guys and we're not going to make this mistake again. But then they immediately did it.
Right.
Immediately. The very next title they put out was that game where they canceled it. Like, that's insane.
Oh, this is a gem.
Making split screen co-op is hard, yeah. Oh man. I don't get it. The more you look at the roadmap, the less sense it makes.
Yeah, this is a great one too. It's like fuck roadmaps, fuck talking about DLC before the game releases, fuck drip feeding content that's done. I can think of 3 games: Strikers Battle League, Halo Infinite, and Gran Turismo 7 are victims of this bullshit mentality in games, and it's sickening. Destiny 2. I mean, they're not innocent here. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
they're absolutely not innocent with the slow drip feed, the lacking seasons. Man, yeah, I love this one. Halo Infinite's new roadmap got me super excited to reinstall Destiny 2. It's like,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, the PvP in Destiny 2 is still probably like one of the best out there, and I'm not saying that with bias. I will, criticize them all day, but yeah, this is a great the desync in Halo Infinite here. Let's zoom in on this. It's like client side.
Holy
shot after
shit.
shot after shot after shot, and server side he's missed every shot, and then he dies.
That's
this
wild,
is shit that I've been dealing with since like Halo 2. It's
Jesus Christ.
so yeah, this is me. Oh god. Yeah, man. I just
Yep.
Halo Infinite is better than people trying to leave hundreds of developers jobless. And here's this thing about, people are going to get fired and lose their jobs if 343 goes down. And it's like half their employees are fucking contracted.
Yeah.
And the other half are probably people who are making the decisions to run this game in the ground in the first place.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I don't like the whole like because it almost feels like a human shield situation when someone's like, well, you can't criticize the developers too hard because if a developers close up shop, then the jobs get lost. And it's like, okay, but then so what do we do if they're crunching really bad? What do we do if they're sexually assaulting people at their workplaces? Do we just do nothing because of what about the developers? Like, I saw this even with ABK when they were like, well, yeah, they're harassing people in the workplace and this, that, and the other, but like, you can't just not buy their games because then they'll go under. And it was like, is that really that bad though? If that's the work environment, like how bad does the work environment have to be before it'd be better for them to just not be there? And I don't know. I mean, I personally try not to like. I tell people if they want to boycott a game or not boycott a game because of socioeconomic conditions or the way the studio is or things like that. I get it. I won't judge either way. I'll just say my piece about it and let them do whatever.
Sure.
But like, it's one of those things where I do generally like the idea of like supporting a studio by buying their products if you want that studio to stay open. But I don't think it's the whole like I don't think you can boycott a studio like Halo's like 343 out of business by not buying their games because one, it's Infinite is half free at this point unless you bought the campaign half. But like these companies usually get big chunks of investments up front. Like you said, like they get they go to stockholders and stakeholders, they go to investors, publishers, and they get chunks of money. They make their thing, they put it out. And like you said, half these people get laid off. Half these people are on contracts. They're on 18-month rotating contracts. We've seen that at Microsoft. We've seen that at like Bungie and stuff. And then, even if these people probably already got paid and stuff. There's some merit to like, if a game comes out, there's a chance that sales of that game does lead to bonuses or does lead to like Metacritic scores, which that leads to bonuses or things like that. But this whole like, well, we don't want to see people lose their jobs because if the studio goes under, they lose their jobs. It's just stupid. Like, do we do that with everything else? Do we do that with like, I don't know, if I've got 20 people down the street selling drugs and I'm like, well, I'd love to break up their drug ring, but like, I'd hate for those people to lose their income. And it's like, okay, but like, what do you want me to do with these people? Like, I'm not in control of whether or not they lose their income, not the result of that. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those stupid things where it's like, I'm very pro worker, and I'm very support of the game industry workers. But
sure,
like,
it's a bad faith argument when they say that shit, though.
Right, protecting a studio because it employs workers is not good. New studios can form. You could literally go into like you can go to 343 right now, and you can like fire anyone over the halfway pay point, and leave the people at the bottom there. And maybe promote up a couple of people into the higher tiers by being like, you've been here a while, you've been here a while, you've been here a while. How much you guys like Halo? You guys actually fans of Halo? You guys actually want to see this game do well? And you move those people up and lead teams from the inside. And now all of a sudden, that studio could do much better. And if the studio doesn't do better, well then maybe you have to cull it again, and that's whatever. But I don't think that like it's like well, yeah, this tumor is cancerous, but it's part of me. And it's like, well, no, that's not how that works. Sometimes you have to cut that shit out. And and the people at the bottom are not the ones who are at risk when the studio goes under. Those people are probably going to apply for other jobs and go somewhere else or whatever. Like, and if they can't get other work, I mean, yeah, that's unfortunate and it sucks. But I would much rather see people from studios like 343 do that thing where they split off, like 20 people leave in mass and they form a new studio and they do like an indie game, because we see that happen pretty frequently, and it's usually cool when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a need to like, oh well, if I don't shop at Walmart, well, the dude who makes $10 an hour at Walmart as a cashier is going to lose his job, and it's like, no, we can still take down bad infrastructures and bad systems, even if it's going to like inconvenience the people who work at those structures.
And in that analogy, we forgot that Walmart put that $10 an hour worker's job out, or company out, like small mom and pop shop, out of business, and then he has to get the job at Walmart for $10 an hour.
If 343 goes under tomorrow, because somehow, if they just go under tomorrow, all the devs who worked on 343, you can't tell me no one's going to try to make a Halo game. No one's going to try to make a Halo similar game or something to fill that void.
We see that with there's plenty of fucking games out there that are already filling that void. It's not like Halo's
well, not just that, but like, look at the industry. Remember what happened when like we saw Sora got announced as the last DLC for Smash Brothers, and they said, unlike last time when we said we're doing our season pass of characters, and then we announced the second season pass, we're not doing any more characters. Smash is complete. We won't be making any more characters. We won't be making any more stages and soundtracks. We'll just be doing balance patches and shit, and that's pretty much it from now on. And immediately, within what, a year? 2 years tops?
Like fucking 6 games had come out.
Like, yeah, the free one with Warner Brothers, the free one from Nickelodeon, or the Nickelodeon game. We saw like the people scrambled to fill like the what's the next Smash going to be kind of gap. And we even saw it with Mario Kart.
Yeah, and those games were announced even before Sora came out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, because they knew it was coming to an end and it was going to be a gap. We saw that when Mario Kart was like, oh, no plans to make a Mario Kart. What are they on? 8 was the last one, and they were like, oh, no plans for new Mario Kart content or a new Mario Kart game. And all of a sudden, Final Fantasy made a Chocobo racing game. Crash got their Crash Team Racing. There was like multiple like kart racer games all of a sudden just coming out of the woodwork, and then they were like, oh yeah, by the way, a bunch of DLC for like this one X price. But like all these other ones had tried to fill what they thought was going to be a gap. I guarantee if 343 went down tomorrow, several people would try to fill that gap with some game that fills like Halo's position, or these people would go work at other jobs. I don't think there's like these people would like. Well, I was working at 343 as like a entry level programmer. 343 went down, and then I like hung up my keyboard, and I just went homeless and died in the street. Like, no, those people are going to apply for other jobs. They're going to find work. They have a good reference on their thing already by saying they worked for 343 for Halo. Like, it's definitely nothing on your fucking resume. So, and they can just start their own studio, honestly. And I know it's not easy to go start a studio, obviously, but like, I feel like if a bunch of these people from 343 got laid off, they literally could just be like, what if we all just stayed together and worked on games anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if you were a publisher and the bottom 80% of 343 studios showed up at your door and they were like, we only don't have a project manager and like an HR person, but we're the team who made like Halo, the last few Halo games. Right. You'd be like, I'll throw money at you guys to make something else. Fuck it. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't like the we can't remove the cancerous tumor because it's part of us argument. It doesn't fly with me.
Right. Are we watching a gaming crash in real time?
A gaming crash.
Are we like, what if Microsoft wasn't there to pick up the pieces for Activision or Bethesda, or Sony picking up, I wouldn't even say like Bungie is crashing, but are we seeing like major studios crash, but the only thing that's like preventing this from actually being a crash is just they're just being absorbed into larger companies and the market's consolidating?
You know what's interesting? I mean, it could be. I almost wonder if it's not necessarily a crash, because gaming is still as popular as it's ever been. I'd argue even more so culturally nowadays.
I would say like there's a studio crash happening, like with like top heavy studios.
I think it's like AAA is starting to crash left and right.
I agree. I can absolutely agree with that.
But you know what it is? It's always the same thing, because look at what happened with CD Projekt Red. they were considered a AAA studio when they put out Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they only crashed when they went public and started being like more responsible for like stockholders and shareholders and at the whim of those people and at the whim of making money more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, CD Projekt Red turned out Cyberpunk, and we saw how that went. And that example, we saw that with Anthem. We saw that with Mass Effect, their last couple games. Mass Effect and BioWare's other title, I forget what the other one was there. Dragon Age 3, I think, Inquisition or something.
Mm-hmm.
They said that one it made it by the skin of its teeth. It just happened to come out in one piece. But then, Mass Effect Andromeda and whatnot have their problems. I think we're starting to see that AAA is just... I think there's like not a rebound. What's a good word for this? There's a reverberating effect that's occurring where like all these studios pulled in a bunch of people who were like project managers and financiers and CFOs from like
banking and shit,
traditional business or like banking or industrial office style maybe environments, stock market style environments, things like that. And they just plugged them in all these places and were like, yeah, you run team, and that doesn't work. And we saw all these games crash. The initial wave was things like Anthem and BioWare titles and things where like the people up top had no idea what the fuck they were doing. They couldn't make the decisions. They couldn't figure it out. You've got people coming into the studio and being like, "What are you working on?" And they're like, "Oh, Anthem." It's like you play like Iron Man, and the guy's like, "Take out flying," and you're like, "We can't just do that. We can't just what? Like that's gonna be a 6-month thing, and it's gonna fuck up everything. We have to change everything: combat, level design, abilities, skill trees, game feel. Everything has to change now." And they were like, "Yeah, do that." And then they did it for like 6 months, 8 months, and then they go back to Canada and they show the guy, and he's like, "I liked it better with the flying." And you're like, "Are you fucking serious?" So they burned 15 months on development just at the whims of a CEO being like, "I didn't like how it felt," and then being like, "Actually, I did like how it felt."
and then
like,
not understanding why it's not ready.
Right, like holy shit! Could you imagine? Like it's insane. Like imagine like going to the restaurant, ordering like a pepperoni pizza, and it comes out, and you're like, "Actually, I don't like pepperoni. Can you remake the pizza?" And they're like, "Holy shit!" So they remake your pizza, and then it comes out, and you're like, it was actually better with the pepperoni. Can you make that pizza again?" And it's like, "Holy shit, you're kidding me!" Like,
right, like you're paying for all those pieces,
And then, and that's the thing. It's one thing at all this development time doesn't go nowhere. It costs them. Like the studio still pays for the developers, and all the people still put the year of time into it. And I think there was like a wave of that, and then now there's another wave of that happening, and we've seen it again. And what's interesting about it though is that one, there's like standouts, right? Like you've got people like the Final Fantasy team with Yoshi, where like they're not compromising, and their passion projects blown up into AAA titles. So you're seeing that come out really well. We've seen like what we've seen in Breath of the Wild looks really good. We've seen people talking about Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns really seems like a very carefully designed game where the people enjoy what they're doing making that game. And we're seeing that from time to time with different studios, even like people like Bungie. A lot of the Bungie lower development teams seem to really be enthusiastic about what they're doing and really enjoying the work that they're doing until they get fired. But that aside, it just seems like we're seeing a split between developers who really like what they're doing and really enjoy what they're working on, and the top-down management style like ruining it for them. And that's where it seems like there's a fall apart. It seems like the games where that happens, like Halo Infinite, or like some of what Destiny's doing, or the stuff we saw with Anthem and all these other studios like this, it's coming from the top down and it's crushing the studio, and then the studio burns and crashes and falls apart and they split, and then half the time they get bought by other people or they get split apart into like littler teams or whatever.
It's almost like game industry does not fit this stylized corporate structure of quarterly earnings, fiscal years, fiscal models. It just doesn't fit.
Well, you know what it is game design and development isn't art. It's not.
Yes.
It's not science. Like it is science and programming wise, but like
it's more dynamic.
Only gets you so
less
far.
Predictable.
You don't program the heart of a game. You design it. You craft it. You create it. You nurture it. Like you take care of it.
Sure.
You don't. And you can see that all the time in the indie market, and that's the thing. Like indies are. What's a good word for this? They're not. It's not that they're bad. because indies are great. A lot of indies are spectacular, but there's a lot of indies out there, and a lot of indies don't get big, waves of like attention. You know what I mean? So like for every time there's an Undertale or a Stardew Valley, there's like 20 other games that probably came out the same week as that game that only got 100 downloads, because indie development is one of those things where it's fickle and you never know if you're going to hit it or not. You never know if you're going to make it. Marketing is really tough if you don't have a 6-figure marketing budget. You can't just take out ad space on television. You can't just take out ad space on major corporate sites or like back it with some crazy big powerful company or whatever. But you know what's funny though is at the end of the day, we see the, like Downer said, corporate infrastructure and game development is all crashing down, and you're seeing all these big, huge AAA titles getting shit on and having problems. And meanwhile, you keep getting games like Tunic, and you keep getting games like Undertale Deltarune, you keep getting games like what was the other one this year? Vampire Survivors, little $3 indie game.
Right.
Like, and these people really enjoy the stuff they're putting out, and you can tell, and it shows. The Mercury's theme, the people who made Metroid Dread, you can tell that game dripped with like love for the Metroid franchise. And it's cool to see how like AAA gaming is surviving in the form of things like Final Fantasy 14, in the form of things like Metroid Dread, and the upcoming Metroid Prime games, probably from Retro Studios because they do good work. Like, we're seeing that there's a shift now where the teams and the studios that make it are the ones that are treating it like an actual art and a craft, and they're appreciating their teams and they're appreciating people's times and quality of life, work balance, everything. And the ones that don't, they're not adapting. They're the ones that are falling apart. And like you said, the only reason they're getting by now is because they're getting scooped by these bigger companies that are almost too big to fail half the time now.
We're seeing it with a lot with Platinum Games. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
They got that new CEO, and they were just like, well, we're just going to do like, live service games from now on. And everyone's just like, why? Like, you had a good thing going here.
You had a really good thing going. We saw that with Square Enix in general was like, we're going to move into NFT markets. And it's like, but all the individual games that are doing well from Square Enix are games that don't want anything to do with it or have nothing to do with it. So like, I don't even know what they're like. It's like they want to do a thing that's not going to work. And meanwhile, they've got like Triangle Strategy, Final Fantasy 14 and 16. They've got.
They could be dumping money into Bravely Default.
Yeah, Bravely Default.
The World Ends With You. They could have marketed it better.
Right. Oh, dude, absolutely. That one's a good example. They could have done that with. And I just feel like they thought this was going to be a moneymaker, and I think games was already on the rise for the last 20 years, like heavily, and they were following like traditional business strategies and thinking that was going to work. And as far as they could tell, it was working, right? Because gaming was blowing up, and it was blowing up despite that, not because of that. And I think now we're starting to see the like gaming sort of slow down, and that sort of slowdown is the first people falling out of that are these companies that are failing the hardest. You know what I mean?
We're seeing like Ubisoft is struggling. All they can do, they canceled a bunch of games. They've got Prince of Persia stuck in like development hell. All they can seem to do is just produce Assassin's Creed, and then they announced this new Assassin's Creed Mirage. And they said it's going to go back to true to form. They're pulling out all the RPG stuff. They're pulling out the scale. So,
no way, really?
Yeah, it's going like
that was like weird.
So it's like you can almost feel like they're cutting back the budgeting on that game. Now, given like some of these newer Assassin's Creed games are actually probably too big, dumping 130, 140 hours into. But to yank out the RPG mechanics, it's a little bit more telling than just like it being a game scale issue. It seems like they just want to cheapen the product.
And it's funny too because like it feels like instead of like treating the problem, their response is to try and like tighten their belt. You know what I mean?
And that's corporate culture, and that's always been
and exactly.
Like, how many times have we seen it and like, they just never learn, and they always go down these same tracks, like it's like a script, and it's like no matter how much they try to change, it just stays the same. I don't know. We have EA being rumored to being bought out. There was a big rumor that Amazon was going to get paid for them, but that turned out to not be at least not true for now. But we at least know that like companies like Apple and Amazon, they are in a bidding room looking to buy this company.
Right, absolutely.
So they are probably up there in scale as Activision, size-wise, if not damn close. So I think they're without these again like other companies that are too big to fail and they can sit there and absorb them. We would be seeing a major crash, but we are, as Downer said, we're seeing like a corporate infrastructure crash.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's just it's not how you can do this stuff. You really can't.
right,
Like, yeah, I don't know. These people think they can. Like, how many times have we seen people with management plans where they sit down and they're like, "This game will take 3 years to develop," and you're like, "No," and they're like, "Well, okay, well, 3 years, and we'll give you guys 4 months extra time to make sure that it happens, like an extra 10% time or something." And it's like, that's not how iterative development works, dude. It's not going to work. And then, we see these games in development hell. How many times have we seen games like, what was it, Doom, like Doom 3D or whatever it was, where it was like in hell forever? Or like Duke Nukem? Duke Nukem 3D, yeah.
right.
It was like in development hell forever. Like Beyond Good and Evil 2 right now is on like 15 years in development or some crazy shit, isn't it? Something insane.
It's insane. Yeah, it's up there, 14, 15 years.
The stupid Star Citizen game that's been 10 years in the hole and they're still adding bedsheet deformation, like no, these people don't know what they're doing. They know how to handle maybe like a regular business. They maybe know how to organize something where it's like the manufacturing pipeline or like the retail pipeline where it's like
there's a predictable manufacturing time.
We do this, we do that. Here's our supply chain, here's our product, here's where it goes. Like, and it's like that doesn't happen when you have iterative development. If the developer of Halo Infinite, which this happened, remember, Halo Infinite put out their product. They were told their product looked like shit at the time. And
at another
like,
year.
Okay, we're going to work on it. Yeah, they were like, we're going to work on it for like another year or whatever. And remember, we saw the Jason Schreier article. After that happened, they brought in that guy who used to be on the Halo team before. And he came back, and he was like, okay, fine, I'll work on the game for you guys. And immediately he was like, we need way more time than you gave us. We are not going to be able to fix this shit the way that you think that you're going to be able to fix it. It doesn't happen like this. It's not just, you can't look at a corporate handbook and be like, oh, what's that? Up to 50% extra time to do a blah, 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 when you have to redo whatever, refactor. It's like, no, this isn't refactoring. This is iterative design. We're going to spend the next year making this game feel fun. And if you don't let us do that, it's going to be a problem.
You can't assembly line creativity because it doesn't work like that.
You know what you get? You get Cyberpunk, where you couldn't, the fucking cars couldn't drive around each other because they had to band-aid that at the last minute to make it get out the door. The people have to disappear when you shoot the gun and then rotate 360 degrees because they needed a solution to get those people off the fucking grid as fast as they could.
Right.
And it was a band-aid fix. The cops will spawn in buildings behind you because they had the band-aid fix the cop spawning system. Like, you literally put them right at the fucking timeline, at the time. And, in the last 2 months, when you're like, no, it's coming out in the next 2 months, we don't have a choice, we can't delay it, blah, 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 deadlines to meet, these people just do whatever they can do, and I don't blame them in the slightest. If I was a developer for CD Projekt Red, and they were like, this game comes out next month, and we need the cars to do the right thing, and I was like, it's going to take 3 months to get the cars to do it, and they were like, nope, you have a month, I would be like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to do then, I'm going to make the cars despawn. That's all I can do, like... But that's what we get. We get that product, and then that product comes out, and what happens? They turn around and say, like, QA didn't catch that. And QA is like, no, we told you guys that we needed 2 more years.
Right.
We thought your date of April that year was an April Fool's joke. That it was, like 2 years early. And then you guys were like, haha, well, no, it wasn't a joke, but I guess we have to delay it 5 months. And it was like, no, we need 18 months. We need 24 months. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
they don't care.
We're looking at Halo Infinite, and this was supposed to be a launch title.
Yeah, absolutely. A launch with the Xbox X. Yeah, absolutely.
And here we are, 2 years, closing on 2 years, if not more, after the Xbox X and S released, and it's still not done. It released last year at this time, and it looks like it still needed at least another year of just around the clock development.
Yeah, absolutely. Full development, not like this half-assed. Well, we kept some of the team
patch chunks here and there, changes. Right?
Yeah, no. Full iterative development, like full oven development. I like what Downer said, by the way. He said that it looks like if AAA studios crash and indie ops becomes the new standard for AAA, I would love that because I've seen so many like indie studios where like their work-life balance is on point. They actually enjoy their time. They spend their time doing what they want to do. They enjoy what they're doing.
And like Devolver Digital's doing, man. They're just pumping gem after gem, and it's like they're not huge games, but man, they're fucking fun.
Yeah, well, they don't have to be. Like, I look at some of my favorite games in the last couple of years have been shit like Tunic and Vampire Survivors because they've been fun and interesting and unique. And games are supposed to be fun. You're supposed to sit down and have fun playing a game. Like, and that's one thing I think that bugs me about stuff like that's one thing I think that draws the line for me between Final Fantasy and Destiny. Is like Final Fantasy is like a bunch of new content every patch, and it's all fun to play. And Destiny, every time we get a patch or a season, I guess, is like a grind. Like there's usually not new content, or the new content is the same shit I've been doing, but it's a grind.
Right.
I'm not enjoying that. Like going into 6.2 patch in Final Fantasy and doing the Carbuncle fight is awesome. It feels badass to fight Carbuncle in that fight. The new mechanics in that lady who does the wing and the plant monster on your face,
Yeah.
cool as shit. The tree fight, cool as shit.
Fuck
the
that tree
guy,
fight. No.
cool as shit.
Fuck that tree.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Right.
interesting and it's dynamic and it's fun. It doesn't just feel like it does in Destiny, where it's like, run down the hallways and shoot the guys again. There's new guns to shoot them with, and you're like, okay, like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. And you know, and I mean, Final Fantasy is a whole thing on its own because it's a complete gem. They've got their team really cares about what they're doing, and I mean all the way to the top. Yoshi is on top of that team as far as I can tell, and if there's anyone above Yoshi at all, he does not take any shit from them. So, I had a discussion with Dark the other day about that, how like a lot of teams probably aren't in the position to do that, but we need to start putting teams in that position. You know what I mean? We need to start getting teams into a position where like the people who lead those teams are people who want to see those games succeed. They're actual fans of the franchises they're working on. They're actually interested in making sure their teams are taken care of. And, you know, they understand that if a game takes 4 years to make or 5 years to make instead of 3, that it's fine. People will wait for a good game instead of expecting the fucking blood-soaked copy of whatever the new thing is to come out like every 2 years or some shit. It's stupid. You know what I'm getting at, though. Like
100%. It sucks because like the studios expect us to love these games with all of our hearts, but when you see stuff like the way the condition of like what Halo comes out, or even something as simple as like Sony mailing out a fucking game that they couldn't even keep from getting crushed to someone's house, and it's like they're not showing their own love and respect for these games, but they want us to.
Dude, you know, and I made you watch that whole video about what was the name of that studio? It was the guys that did Bendy and the Ink Machine, and I had you sit down and watch that whole video about them. You remember that, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's like a perfect example of like it was like a group of friends and a bunch of people who started up a little studio. They grew the studio. They made some stuff. They made Bendy and the Ink Machine. Everybody loved it. They made a bunch of chapters, 5 chapters of Bendy. Everybody thought it was the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turned around and they ruined it. And it was like a big part of it was they went out into like corporate management. They had that one guy who was running the company and trying to run it like you would run like a retail or production line.
And it seemed like he was just out to grift right off the rip, which really sucks.
That's true too. But it was just one of those things. Like I feel like you could take that team, and when that guy turned around and was like, "I have to let a bunch of people go right around the holiday season," which fuck that.
Right.
But he was like, "Oh, I gotta let all you guys go." I would have looked at the rest of the team, and I would have been like, "Let's just make our own team. Fuck that one guy. Let's all just make our own team. We'll make our own Bendy style game." What is he gonna do? He doesn't own cartoon horror games. Like, we're gonna fucking make our own game then. If he's gonna fire 35-40% of our studio at Christmas, like, and that's the thing, and that's a whole thing about like unionization of the game industry needs to be a thing, because a lot of these, if you were unionized and the whole team was protected, they could look at their manager and be like, "Crypto, fuck you. We're not putting crypto in."
Right.
And the manager couldn't just be like, "Well, then you're fired." He'd have to be like, and go through the union, and the union would be like, "You can't just fire people for not doing this or that." And they're like, and you'd have the protections for people to stand up to the people that are trying to run it like a fucking financial spreadsheet business, and they could tell them like, "This isn't how it works. I'm not, bang out 10 shitty drawings in and out." I mean, we see that same problem in like, I mean, that's a divergence, but we see that in like manga too. Manga has a problem, and anime has a problem where like they put out weekly content, weekly chapters for manga, and they fucking grind these people into the dust doing their release schedules. And it's like you said at the top of the stream, like it's this corporate thing that you see in all the industries in America and other countries too as well, obviously. But like, and you see it in manufacturing and retail and all these industries where it's like shitty crunch culture.
You're not wrong.
But I digress. I think I can't wait to start a studio. I know it's not going to be easy. I know it's going to take time. It won't be like tomorrow or anything. But like, holy shit, am I excited for the day that I can actually like lead a team, give everybody their shit, make sure people are paid, and then some. Like, give everybody benefits and whatever methodology they want for like a unionization, we're going to be there on day one, and we're going to make that shit happen, because that way they can actually represent themselves in case I go down the fucking rabbit hole, because who knows, anyone can, right? No one's immune to propaganda or this shit that happens, so, or power or money or something. So like, man, I'll be so happy to set up a good system, and if I see myself thrown out of it because I turn into an asshole, I'll deserve it. But at least the system I built will be there to keep people safe from everybody.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going out there, so you feel free to move on.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm hitting low orbit.
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's talk about, we have some upcoming games this week, and we actually have a couple of good ones. One that I am certainly excited for, and I think if you're listening at home, you already know what I'm going to talk about. But let's talk about Biomutant. That is coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. That, I guess, was already on the last generation, so that's getting a port, basically. Pokemon-like style game, online, though. Temtem is coming.
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC, September 6th. I want to check that game out. It looks good from the face, but I have read some reviews where it's a little bit too grindy, but I kind of want to check it out just to see, what an online Pokemon game-ish game would feel like. So I'll be there for that. The Tomorrow Children Phoenix Edition, that's coming to PlayStation 5 and 4.
Oh, no.
September 6th. You okay?
Yeah, just don't tell my daughter about that game, because it has her name in it. And
Okay.
She'll want me to buy it.
Nice.
She does that with anything that has like her name in it. She's like, "Oh, it's mine," and I'm like, "It's just a thing called Phoenix." Like,
Jack Move coming to PC or after the stream, September 8th. Steel Rising coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, September 8th. NBA 2K23, I can't believe they're still making those games. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. That's getting the whole 9 yards there. That might actually even be coming to Stadia. I'll look into that. And then the big one, maybe Splatoon 3 is coming this Friday on the Switch. So I will be there, and I will be coming too. So I'll be ready for
there
it.
we go.
This color of paint is kind of a weird color.
Oh my god.
Let's look into this week in gaming history.
Hang on, before we do that,
Uh-oh. Yes.
I have to ask about your background.
Uh-huh.
What specifically is it?
This is Lefty's Bar from Leisure Suit Larry and the Land of the Loud Blizzards. It's an old PC-DOS Sierra game.
Okay, because I was gonna say it looks like a Sierra game because it reminds me of Space Quest.
Same company, yeah.
Same company,
Yep.
yeah. I was like, that's very much a Space Quest art style.
Yeah, so this had an age check to it, and it would ask you questions, and like the questions are very dated now, and they were even dated like before when the game was like originally out, because it was asking like questions about like Nixon. I think Nixon's vice president or something like that. You had to know that, and you had to like type in these answers, and I think there was so it was an adult check, but also an anti-piracy check. So you had to have like a book with all these answers in it, or you just had to know the stuff. It was like, trivia questions almost.
Right.
That was the age check to get in, because it did have some partial nudity in it. Same company, same era. Yep, absolutely.
That's funny.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into this week in gaming history. 3 years ago, River City Girls came out on the PC. We had Gears 5 release on the Xbox One 3 years ago. Again, that should have been maybe an Xbox Series X and S launch title. Marvel Spider-Man 4, absolute masterpiece of a game, came out 4 years ago. Destiny 2 came out 5 years ago this week on the Xbox One and PS4 and PC. And then Super Mario Maker came out 7 years ago on the Wii U. What a phenomenal, fun fucking game that is. I love that game.
Yeah, that was really cool.
The original Destiny came out 8 years ago this week. Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3 and 4, and not PC. Dead Island came out 11 years ago on the Xbox 360 and PS3. Battlefield 1942 came out 20 years ago on the PC. Shenmue on the Dreamcast came out 21 years ago. And I'm glad that Downer's here tonight because he's going to appreciate this one too. Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance came out 21 years ago. So 21 years ago, Downer and I were sitting on an elevator drunk at our school, sitting on egg crates, playing Advance Wars. While people were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Just punk rock shit, man.
You think that's wild? Middle school bus playing Advance Wars.
Hell yeah.
While you guys were doing that.
Nice. Capcom versus SNK came out 22 years ago on the Dreamcast. Dino Crisis came out 22 years ago on the Dreamcast. Spyro the Dragon 24 years ago on the PS1. Rayman 27 years ago on the PS1. I believe that was a launch title.
It sounds like it.
And then Mortal Kombat 2 came out 28 years ago on the Genesis and Super Nintendo. So you're welcome for making you feel incredibly old. Best lady in town, the elevator had. Remember when they announced Advance Wars for Switch? Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. It sure was.
And as a fun aside for those who noticed that there were several Dreamcast titles, there was also like a racing game that came out today, but I didn't include it. But that's because it's the Dreamcast's actual birthday on the 9th, which is like what, Friday?
Yep.
Yeah. So Friday is the Dreamcast as a console has its North American birthday.
Yep. I wish I wasn't a fresh out of college broke ass because was it Think Geek way before they were bought out by GameStop and they ran them into the ground. They found a warehouse full of Dreamcasts and they just started selling them on their website. And they're like, we're just going to keep selling them until they're out of stock. And then it took a couple months, but then they finally went out of stock. I wish I bought one.
That's crazy.
But yeah. So yeah. Hopefully we see some Advance Wars news soon. Maybe at the Nintendo Direct they'll finally kind of break down. I know because of the Ukraine war with Russia right now, they don't really want to release it, or they want to at least wait for a better time to release it. And the way this is dragging on, I don't think there's going to be much of a better time. And hopefully maybe they can just release it. Maybe they'll just do like a quiet release, which kind of sucks because I was hoping to see people really go gangbusters on buying this game so we could see maybe like a fresh Advance Wars,
like a follow-up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or a Switch Wars game. So that was like that's the weird thing too. It's like up until the Advance Wars, that was the game was always named after the system. Advance Wars was the first one that came to the U.S., but it was called like Famicom Wars back in the day, or Game Boy Wars, but we never got those in the U.S. But you can find English ports of them now, fan translations and stuff. So yeah, go out and play them. They're actually pretty good. I know. Downer got into Famicom Wars for like a hot second, and he was telling me about that for a while, and it sounds like it's a good game. So definitely go check that out if you can, if you like to emulate and stuff that's out there for you.
Man, I can't believe we didn't get Wii Wars.
Wii Wars? That's a Wii War. It's just a Wii War.
Can we?
Might even call it a conflict.
Oh my God! Can we get like? Can we have like the one of the nations be like really clever and crafty, and then we get like they call it the Wily Wars? Or is that a thing already? Is that a thing already? Oh no!
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Could have known. Oh man!
Famicom Wars was fantastic, he says. All right, well, I don't really have much else to talk about this week, so I guess we're gonna hang it up here. But be sure to follow me on Twitter, GameDoRetro. And then, of course, I will be back Tuesday. Oh, we didn't talk about the schedule, so let's talk about the schedule. Tuesday, Tuesday tentatively, Phasmophobia. Claire said that she wants to play it with a VR set, so if you want to tune in and listen to her scream and shit her pants, I'm here for it. So it should be definitely a good time. And then I don't know what we're going to be doing Wednesday, so keep an eye on that in the Discord. And then, of course, I am Retro Game Dude on Twitch. That's why I'm here. And then also on TikTok, Retro Game Dude. But again, I don't really post much content on there. Someday. Go ahead.
I may have something for you on Wednesday.
Okay. What's that?
There's that. I'll have to look up the name of it for you, but there's a really good Sonic fan game I was going to show you. I might have actually shown it to you already.
This one looks like a Game Boy Advance game, but it's on the PC.
No. There's another one that... what's the name of it? I'll figure it out later off stream, and I'll send it to you and see if you want to look at it.
Cool. I'm here for it. Okay, well, regardless, we will be back, of course, next Saturday for Jackbox. Those games are always open. Hop in the Discord. We have a voice chat set up. I might make some tweaks to that and grandfather in people who are already in the Discord as open play, but going forward, I think it's going to be a subscriber thing where you have to at least sub to the channel, use a Prime, and make Zuckerberg pay, or not Zuckerberg, the other asshole, Bezos pay for it. The other asshole. And then that'll give you access to voice chat just to keep out trolls. Unfortunately, we have had some issues recently, but my mods were on top of it. Thank you, especially Daisuke. And we got rid of it real quick. So that's what we want to see. That's why we have mods. And that's why I have the best mods, because they do a great job. So, and then next Sunday, of course, we will be back for another SuperScope podcast. But I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. And again, if you are watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And if you don't have time to listen to it on Spotify, follow us anyway, because that helps our metrics a ton. And if you want to listen to it on the audio version, great. Good times. But I do appreciate everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week for another SuperScope podcast. Thank you.